Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture on client-server architecture. I am Anas Mohammed, a certified AWS Solutions Architect Associate. In this lecture, we would be hearing and learning about client-server architecture. So first understanding what is a client and what is a server. So a client is actually a device or a program that requests for a resource, and a server would actually receive the request from the client and then analyze it and then give the response according to the request sent by the client. So here we have a client, which is a computer, which is asking for a request, and the request goes to the server, and the server is actually responding to the resource. So this is a client, and this is a server. So everything here happens over the internet, as we can see. So server is responding, and client is actually a device or a program which is actually asking for the resource. So a client asks and server responds. This is what client server architecture is. But now understanding, it can be a device, it can be a laptop, it can be your mobile or anything, or it can be a program as well. Like when you go into the internet browser and type google.com or facebook.com, so your internet browser acts as a client, and the facebook.com, the server, would be actually the server responding to the request that we have actually shared. So now there are different types of architecture. Learning the types of architecture we've got. So this is the two-tier architecture of the client server architecture, wherein a client, like a tablet or a phone or a computer, is actually asking for a resource, and the computer is actually, or the server is responding to the request. These are high performance machines in a way designed that they can handle multiple requests at a time. So this is how the client server architecture works. But now here we have got a problem. The problem is here in this server, because it's just two tier layers, it has got the presentation layer, wherein this has got the database also, it has got the operating system also, and the application as well. Like the Facebook would have some coding, right? So that coding is also there, and you've got the database server also installed in it. So to overcome that, the companies have actually come out with something called a three-tier architecture. Now, here in the three-tier architecture, you've got the client, okay, which would ask for a resource, but it would not go into a single server. It would go to the application server where it has got the application on it, and the application server would actually go into the database to fetch the data and then come back to the application server and give back to the client. So this is how a three-tier architecture works. So basically, we would be designing an architecture wherein we have got our clients getting into the servers and requesting for a resource, and we at the back end would be actually having the application layer, the database layer, and we would be responding to the request. So that is how things eventually work in like the cloud. Now moving forward, here the application layer has got the application, but do you think it is a very good practice for having the server directly being up open to the client? I don't think so, because we can, the client or a hacker could eventually get into our servers and hack our systems. So this is not eventually a very good practice as far as designing an architecture is being considered. So to overcome this problem, this three-tier architecture has also been, changed in a way that we have got a perfect architecture, which is called the N-tier architecture, where here we would be having a web server like the Nginx. Okay, so the client would actually request for a resource over the internet, and it would go to the web server, and web server would not be having the application on it. The application is on the middle layer, which is the application layer, and here would be the data layer where we have got the database, the tables installed on it. So this is a perfect architecture wherein the client is actually asking for a resource, and the web server would actually look into the resource. It would actually look into the protocols. Like if you type google.com, this would actually look into where the request is coming from and what server or what application it is going through, and it would be analyzing that it's coming from the right protocol, which might be http, https, and according to that it would be, it is configured in a way that it would be requesting these like protocols and the security and the firewall, and it would be actually forwarding it to the business logic here. So the business logic would be having the application on it. So this is an architecture which is well architected because this business logic as well as the database would be in a private subnet. They are not exposed to the public. So even if the hacker tries to get into our business logic or the application layer, he cannot, because you've got the web server that would be actually, looking into the request from the client, and then if the client request is appropriate, only then it would be sending the request to the business layer. So this is the end tier architecture, and this entire thing happens over the internet. It's a very important thing to learn. This happens over the internet. So a client would be requesting for a resource, and a web server would actually analyzing the request. You would be having, the firewalls on it. It will be asking for the protocols. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Like, let's consider if you go into a Google office, you cannot just get inside the Google office just like that unless and until you have got like a pass to get in. So the security here, like in the Google office, the security guard would actually ask you, where are you going and where are you coming from? Whom are you meeting? Which room have you got the meeting? So this entire thing is actually done by the firewall here, which is like just before the web server. So after these things are being passed, only you can actually get into the application layer. And this is how the architecture works. And I hope you like the video, and thank you. And if you really like my videos, please do subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you with the next video.